Welcome, everyone. Hello, hello. And I'm very happy to see you on the 12th episode of All Cards on Deck. My name is Oля. I'm the host of these little LinkedIn live series where I sit down with different guests who have absolutely different backgrounds, but they all have something in common. They all live their lives on purpose, or at least they make those first steps striving towards the life filled with purpose. And this live has two parts in it. The first part is around the topic of purpose. I'm going to be asking questions related to that. Who are you? What is your purpose? What challenges did you face along the way? And how did you actually find it? And then the second part of these lives has a little twist. I'm going to be using this card deck, which is called We Are Not Really Strangers. And these cards have different questions on them. Personal, sometimes tricky, sometimes not. So this is how we're bringing a bit of fun and playfulness into such a quite a serious topic as purpose. And today we have another wonderful guest. Her name is Monica. She's a story selling coach and she helps women, introverted women, to find their voice and to own their story. Because I feel like these days, everyone thinks that you need to be so loud. The louder you scream, the more you're seen. But I feel like in this conversation, we'll bust these myths and understand that you don't have to be very, very loud to present yourself and just to be authentic. Welcome, Monica. I'm so happy to have you here today.
I'm so happy to be here. We had a great conversation last week, and I was looking forward to. So here we are. But again, thank you for inviting me.
So let's dive into the questions. The first one can be quite tricky, but let's wing it. Who are you?
Well, actually, I feel like I'm a lot of things. If I were to say, what do I like? How do I label myself? There's just so many things because I'm very multi-passionate. I love being who I am. But I guess in my own way, yes, I am an introvert. I am a storyteller. I am a friend. But yeah, in a lot of things, I'm very, very much passionate about what I do and what I hope to accomplish in life. And I do hope that when I do something, I lead it with purpose and with intention. But in my LinkedIn world, yes, I am a story selling coach. I'm also a brand strategist and I do some graphic design, which is what I first started when I started LinkedIn. I was doing graphic design and slowly doing, my whole personal brand and getting to know people and what people liked from me. Then it's like almost like, okay, well, this is something that I see myself doing. And yeah, thanks to the people in the audience, I found my purpose and my direction. And I'm very, very grateful because part of being an introvert is that you listen, right? So you listen to what your audience wants and needs from you. And I feel like in all of my life, storytelling has been a big part because of my whole experience with all of my different careers and my travels. I've been able to
Mm-hmm.
gather so many stories that now that I think about it and have found the patterns in my life, I think this is definitely what I've been meaning to do. And it's just telling
Mm-hmm.
stories, share my voice, and hopefully help others do the same.
This is so beautiful. And I love that you mentioned that you're a multi-passionate person because I am having conversations with many people, and some of them get very, very confused when they have like a lot of things they like. They get frustrated. I don't know where to put my hands on. And I'm curious, how did you manage or streamline your multi-passion into what you do?
I thought that I had something wrong with me. There was something wrong with me, right? Because I was all these
Mm-hmm.
passionate. I had all of these ideas. I've done so many different things. My resume is like 3 pages long, and
Wow.
it's
You're
a
one of
funny.
those people.
I am. So it's interesting because even when I was applying for jobs, I felt like I needed to cut, right? So I had like 4 or 5 different resumes depending on where I applied, and I did feel like something was wrong with me because I couldn't figure out what path I wanted to lead. And it's really hard as a 20-year-old to decide
Hmm.
what you want to do. So I think a lot. I mean, now it's changed where people are more like multi-passionate, and they do have all of these different careers because we're trying to experiment and see what fits our life and what stage we are in. Not everyone is going to go through that same path from 20 until like 60 and retire. Um, so I feel like being authentic is part of making sure that you know who you are, right, and who you want to be. And so if it means having to do different jobs to get to where you feel more fulfilled and accomplished, then that's what you need to do. And I think part of what I've talked to in my post and with my clients is that it might be fast for some, but it might be slow for others. But as long as you're happy and you're finding joy along the way, that's really, really all that matters. Um, Having, like I said, like a big CV, long CV is not. It is. I mean, it's not. It's not seen as something negative. And I think a lot of times when you apply, people say, "Oh, you've done this and this and this," and it's like, "Well, who are you?" And it makes you feel like you're not qualified because it's you don't know where you fit. And I think once you realize that maybe you can do something on your own, then, and that's what I did, right? So now I've decided like, well, maybe I should just put all of my skills into one place and become an entrepreneur. And that's how it sort of led to where I am because I felt like I couldn't fit a box that society was trying to make me put in, like make me in. I just knew that I can create something of my own where I feel like accomplished and fulfilled, and every day I wake up thinking I want to be able to create more of this. And so yeah, so I'm happy that yes, now I admit and acknowledge and accept that I am a multi-passionate, and there's nothing wrong with that. People have their own paths in life, and you can't dictate what others do. You have to follow your own.
Exactly. And I love what you said about experimenting because, again, when you're 20 years old, you just finished uni, even like the way you're choosing university, you're just fresh out of school. Chances are it's not going to be the thing, and it's totally okay to drop out if you figured out it's not okay after the first year, to experiment with other, practices and studies. And without that, how would you know, right? So I love what you mentioned here.
You're growing, and I
And
think
it's also
there's a lot
very,
of
yeah,
experiences. There's a lot of experiences that you go through in life, and when you're 20, you still haven't lived really a full life, and so to be pressured into fitting that box and that role and expected to do that all throughout your life is yeah, at this point in the way that I see it, like it just doesn't seem realistic. I feel like the last thing I would just mention, yeah, so it seems like it's unrealistic to think that you can go through your life being just one thing.
yes. I mean, I know some people who do that and they're actually happy, but from all the people that I know, it's not that many of them. But the people that I usually meet are those who tried this, tried that, lived in this country, lived in that country. And this is also my experience, trying so many things, so many different industries, the different countries, and it shapes you in a also very diverse way. And I know that you yourself lived in 8 different countries. Could you tell us a little bit more about this experience and how it shaped who you are?
Gosh, I can have watch like I'm my plan is to eventually write a book about
Yeah,
my experiences
this is
because
cool.
I've talked about how I feel like in every single place that I've lived in, and it's now in Albania. It's my eighth country that I've settled. I feel like it's different lives, right? So I've become not necessarily a different person, but I've had to learn how to adapt. Meet new people, start over. learn a language if I have to. And it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a period of adjustment, but I've done it so many times that I know that I'm very resilient. I'm very adaptable. I'm really a type of person who can just be put in one place and know exactly what I need to do because I've already developed those skills to say, I need to be productive, but now that I'm in a different location, how do I function to the best of my ability? So yeah, I've enjoyed, I've learned so much. As someone who is an introvert, someone who, is, I even say short because I am short, I'm only 5 feet tall. No one really expected me to be this person who says, how can you just go up and running to a different country? For example, like Albania. I've never been to Albania. I barely knew about it. And to be able to settle and have a community of people that, and that shapes you. And I think a lot of it too is the people that you surround yourself with. And, and who you attract, right, and who you want to relate to, because yeah, this is becoming your family. I can't say
Mm-hmm.
it's been easy because it really hasn't. I think like I said, I've learned different lessons. I've had different lives, and in each I've learned a new skill that I can then go on to, bring on to my next life. And I don't think I'm
Mm-hmm.
stopping anytime soon. I say to myself that right now Albania is not my home. I mean, it is my home, but it's not a place that I see myself living full time or permanently. So there's many more adventures to go and many more stories to sort of collect. And yeah, so hopefully
Mm-hmm.
that book will come out soon because I'm very
Yes,
excited
do
to
let
share
me
it.
know. I'll be the first one to get it and read. I love such stories. They're very, very diverse. They're very deep. Okay, what is your purpose?
Well, again, I'm multi-passionate. I feel like I have had different purposes in my life, but for right now, my purpose on LinkedIn, which is where I am, what my business is leading on, is to help people find their voice, especially women, introvert women. So I want to be able to use my voice to then have them build their own, right? So I want them to know that, I know how it feels to be quiet whilst to blend in, and so even to feel
Okay, I
invisible.
feel like we
And
got a
so my
bit
mission is to show
frozen.
others. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, now
Okay.
I can hear you.
So yeah, so my
Could you
mission
repeat
is to show
again
others,
the
that the story doesn't have to be
uh
loud. It doesn't have to be,
hmm
extravagant, and no one's looking for a, movie blockbuster. But yeah, you still can have a story and you have an impact, and even the, minute, mundane stories can make you relatable to others. And so I want people to realize through my content, through my programs, that they do have a story to tell, that everyone does have a voice, and that you don't have to feel like you have to be loud. You can, showcase your talents and your skills in a way that
hmm
helps your stories build a business, right? So my goal is to have them help or use storytelling to build their personal brand, because a lot of it has to do with more, building trust with your audience. So if I'm able to make it easier by having what they already have, because they all have stories to tell, but using that to help grow their business, that's my main goal.
Mm. I'm curious right now, because you're also kind of like busting the myth that if you're an entrepreneur, you have to be extroverted. And I had a conversation recently with someone on LinkedIn, and she was um, confused either to stay at her 9 to 5 or try something of her own. And what was blocking her, she was saying, I'm an introvert, so I won't be able to start my own business. And I really, 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 really want us right now to bust this myth that if you are an introvert, you cannot be a good entrepreneur. So, how can you comment on this and what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, like I said, I am still an introvert. I think I'm going to be an introvert all my life. But I do feel that if you have something that you know deep inside, you can show to others. I think it's important to sort of leave that comfort zone and learn to find ways to make, do things that you feel aligned to what you want to do. If you want to do something that feels um, comfortable. I think a lot of times what people or introverts think that they have to do extrovert things, like go on, TED Talks, or speak in public, do videos, all that stuff that girls tend to tell you to push and do. So I think it's a matter of doing something that feels comfortable and aligned with what you feel is right at the moment. When I started, it took me a year essentially to say yes to something like this. I've only done
Mm-hmm.
one podcast, one audio event at some point, but I felt the need to, like, if I know I have something to share and I know that it's worthwhile, I need to feel comfortable pushing sort of like my own boundaries and saying, you know what, I this is the comfort zone that I've been on for quite a while. But if I
Mm-hmm.
want to then move on to the next stage um, in my business, I have to do it. And I think the more that you do it, the more you practice, the better you will get. And I think it also helps to align to the people. I mean, I felt really comfortable talking to you last week, and I knew that you were the right person to talk to. So just being know that whatever it is that you want to do, take step by step. Like, don't make it into this pushing something that you don't feel comfortable, because it's you're gonna regret it later. So I mean, again, step by step. It doesn't have to be something abrupt, but if you do something that you feel comfortable and aligned, and you know that it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
the right part or right step in your business, then yeah, sometimes you just have to go ahead and do what don't feel comfortable, but at the same time will grow your business. And that's what I'm doing with these talks, and I hope I do more.
I really loved also what you said in regards to small steps, because can you imagine how difficult it is for your brain, for your mind, from your comfort zone to jump straight away, for example, to doing videos, going live and doing it all at once and talking to people and having like 10 conversations and having, I don't know, group calls with like 15 people and straight away do it like all in 1 week. Of course, for your nervous system, it's going to be such a huge shock. So again, I love what you mentioned, the power of going step by step, even if the step is super, super teeny, meeny, tiny step. If today you're just like, I don't know, today you wrote a script for your video, that's already a teeny, meeny, tiny step that will move you forward. But as long as you're walking, you're gonna get there. So yeah, this is really, really beautiful that on your journey you found those steps, you're moving forward and you're getting out of your comfort zone. Even with this conversation, I know that it's not an easy thing to go live and do all of these things.
Mention too, can you hear me? Part of it is also connecting with people. Like, say, like connecting with you, going in the DMs, because part of it also, as I learned to get out of my shell a little bit, I said, you know what, let me just go into the DMs and just talk to people, right? So a lot of we just hide in this whole content creation, and we just stay stuck in that mode of writing content, but also part of it is talking to people. So if you don't feel comfortable even going on videos or lives, just have a conversation. Do DMs. I do my best to welcome every single person that I connect with, have conversation, generally be interested in what they're doing. And sort of slowly you end up talking more about your business, and you feel more comfortable doing so. People become interested in what you want and what you're doing, and it's sort of like your morale goes a little bit up, because you know what, you're doing something that makes you feel good. So I think, like you said, little steps do work, but also reaching out to people who are in the same boat as you does help also sort of take out that nerves and say, there's more people out there who are also struggling with my own struggles, and and that's how you can meet great people like you. And so never fear connecting with people, people, because again, we are humans, and that's what we tend to do. And it helps to learn more about others, and at the same time you get to share what you do. So I highly recommend people to get on the DMs and just talk to people.
How do you find those people? Is it through LinkedIn search, or like what is your strategy in finding those people that you would be comfortable and happy to talk to?
Well, there's a different. I mean, I don't necessarily go to search because I think it's more because when you're searching, it's hard to know who's active and who's not, and you want to
Mm-hmm.
connect people who are really already active and engaging with others. So my strategy is just going to other people who have similar audience than me and look at their comments. If I see something that they wrote that was inspiring or made me want to follow, then I'll just go and connect with them. I do have a guide
Mm-hmm.
on connecting DMs, the sort of like the introverted story-driven way. You can find that on my profile, but it's more of a natural way to connect with people. So, and I have a really high success rate because people do respond to a simple email, and then you start having conversations. But the first part that I would recommend is to connect with people who are in your same industry, who do similar
Mm-hmm.
things, go into their audience, see who are the people who are commenting, and connect with them. Because again, you know that these people are active on LinkedIn anyways, so you'll probably get a
Mm-hmm.
higher response rate than just going on the search bar and connecting with, for example, coaches. Because again, you would have to
Mm-hmm.
go to each profile and see whether or not they've been active or posted recently, and a lot of people aren't.
Yeah.
They go and they come back, and so so the people who are mostly on the comment sections are the ones who are active, and those are the ones that you connect with. So that's my strategy to growing and connecting is by going through other people's
Mm-hmm.
comments.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. And that totally makes sense. When you see that the person is active, be it on comments or even likes, a person liked a post, you know that, hey, they're alive on LinkedIn, rather than just randomly searching people. And that's a hit and miss, as per my experience also. And yeah, the next question is, how did you find your purpose?
I can't say that it was an overnight aha moment. There's been a lot of things that happened in my life, where like lived experiences. I've gone through a lot of burnout, rejection. I've mentioned before going into LinkedIn, I had sent tons of job applications, and I didn't really get much. Obviously, I'm here, so it's like I just didn't find something that was truly what I wanted to do. So it was only when I started sharing my story on LinkedIn that I saw that I could sort of help rebuild my confidence and
Mm-hmm.
reconnect with who I am. So basically, little by little, the stories that I shared made me realize that there was something that it was worth sharing. When I first started LinkedIn, I started mostly, I started as a VA, and then I moved it into graphic design and then personal branding. And the purpose came after sharing my rejections, my frustrations, my burnout stories, everything that sort of like people may not want to share because it's the messy middle. And people,
Yes.
especially on LinkedIn, and when I first started, honestly, it was all about who makes more money and what the achievements they accomplish, and it makes
Yeah.
you
I'll
like,
10x your I don't know, your profit in one day
yeah,
with
and
one tool.
that means when you feel bad by reading those message or those posts, and you're like, something's off here. And so I said, you know what, let me just do something different. Let me just share that messy middle. And explain what I'm going through at the same time that I'm going through it. So if it's my journey, but I also want to share the misses and the highlights. But it all started really with a client who didn't we just didn't align with each other, and I ended up actually giving him his money back because it was definitely a frustrating period, and it just didn't feel good. We just didn't mesh, and that was okay. And that's from that one. I think it's interesting because I wrote this whole story, and I capped the limits of LinkedIn. It was just so much, but people actually read,
Wow.
which is also something that, if you have something to share, don't limit yourself on, a couple of, characters, because
Because they say the optimal one is like 700 or 800 characters, but that's again BS. Sometimes posts which are longer or shorter, they get
because there's something in that story that captures the audience, and they can relate to it. So yeah, definitely don't limit yourself on characters from LinkedIn. But yeah, that one story sort of like made me think I want to share more of this. And then
hmm
slowly people started to relate with them. They kept saying, I feel this is my story, like I know what you're feeling, and sort of like, in a way, it has helped me sort of build that community around people who also can relate. And I didn't feel the need to hide myself anymore. Because again, I wasn't doing as well as other people were doing, but I was sharing what I was learning when I was making those mistakes. And so yeah, so little again, I said little by little, I found my voice in my stories. And then when I feared that there are other people who also wanted to do the same but didn't
hmm
feel comfortable, a lot of times there's a lot of self-doubt, fear of visibility. They don't know if their story is even worth sharing. So there's a lot of doubts whether or not they even want to even post, right? Because again, fear of rejection, or even not rejection, but fear of judgment. I think that's the main one.
hmm hmm
People feel like they're being judged by what they're saying. And my recommendation is just go out there and say what you want to say and how you want to say it. The right people will come. And so when I found my purpose, it was like, you know what, but by hearing other people's stories and other people's struggles, I said, you know what, I want to be able to do it in a way that feels right for me, and help those introverted women, even though there are some extroverted women who I also connected with. But we all have sort of that same struggle because we don't really know what our story is to begin with. And part of what
hmm
I'm doing now is helping them sort of uncover that origin story, that reason why you're doing what you're doing, and then sort of like leading them on in that direction, in that path. And then once you have that messaging, then it becomes easier to post. And I think a lot of people forget
hmm
that once you're clear on where you see yourself and where you're going and why you're doing what you're doing, then everything else just becomes so much easier in
Easier.
terms of your messaging, in you're making your brand, and eventually your offers.
Absolutely. And I feel like a lot of us, when we have a problem, we're like so into that problem that we think we're the only ones that have this problem. But when you start talking to people and sharing that you are going through these things, hey, I have this problem, I have this situation, you can see how many people are going through the same thing. And again, this is what you've said. You can then relate to all of those people, and those people can relate to your situations. And this is how, again, the communal tribe, I don't know, you can call it a tribe, work comes into play,
Yeah,
working
yeah.
as one family.
It's because I think it comes down to also people talking about their niche and how they have to find their niche before they can even post, and like and it's like it's backwards. You have to sort of like put yourself out there, write what you're passionate about, and the
hmm
right people will come to you. You attract your tribe, and so there's no need to spend so many months thinking about who do I want to target. Instead, be more like, I want to share what I know because I feel comfortable sharing what I know, and your expertise, and again, your stories and your lessons throughout your life. And then you figure the people who come to you and attracted to you will tell you what it is that you can help them with. Again, it's almost like not even thinking about the
And
problem.
what is the biggest challenge you had along the way of finding your purpose? The biggest challenge.
Biggest challenge? I mean, I think it goes back to self-doubt. I always, I feel like this. I wasn't even sure if I knew how to tell my story in a way that it will attract people or people can relate to. Because again, thinking about me being an introvert, you always there's always a push that you have to be more outgoing, and that's just not who I was, right? So I had to sort of unlearn that idea that success belongs to only extroverts. And I had to be comfortable knowing that part of this growth is to be uncomfortable. And again, that clarity doesn't come from overthinking. I think a lot of people assume that, once you think about, just think about what I want to do, it's sort of like you get stuck. And going back to doing small, consistent steps, even when you're scared, helps you along the way. So again, self-doubt, not showing what to do, thinking that you need to be someone that you're not, were all of these challenges all put together. And again, it was all in my head, really. But once I was able to say what it is that Monica wants to do and how, like, and that sort of like helps me sort of have more clarity on how I want to present and how I want other people to see me. So there's a lot of things that I had to struggle again, and it's okay to take that time. And I took 2 weeks off after realizing that I was heading in a direction that I did not want to with my business. And so once you give yourself permission to take that time off and know, where, not necessarily know at that moment, because I had no idea where I was. As soon as I said, you know what, I'm just going to take time off, I took 2 weeks off, I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to do what feels right, relax, read books, walk my dog, and on the beach, just something that makes me not even think about business. And once your mind gets clear on how you want to see yourself moving forward, the ideas will come, the creativity will come, and sort of that aha moment will also come. So not giving yourself pressure to know right away what you want to do, but let it come to you. I think a lot of times, a lot of these ideas come when you least expect it, but it's because your mind is clear and you're away from all that noise and that content overload that we often get when we're on LinkedIn like 24/7, I feel, at that point. Yeah, because you just need to realize, what I do, what I want. Not necessarily what you expect other people expect to you, but what you want. And that comes, by taking that first, step of moving yourself away, and then choosing to find peace, I guess.
Taking a break is so important. I feel like that's also why a lot of people burn out, because they work nonstop. And when you're an entrepreneur, everything just blends in. Your life, your family, your work. You find yourself working at 1 a.m., but then, I don't know, chilling at 12, or working on a Saturday, but not working on a Wednesday. It's just like such a mess sometimes, especially in the beginning. So I'm wondering, what was your aha moment during those 2 weeks when you took them off, you had your break, you did not think about work, but then you had that aha moment. What was it?
I think it was more figuring out where I saw myself, not only on LinkedIn and the relationships that I've had on LinkedIn, but also relationships around me. I tend to be, again, the shy girl, the one who doesn't really share much about her personal life. And so when I felt like even in my relationship with my friends, maybe in past relationships where I didn't have a voice, or I didn't feel like I could say much because I would either be judged or necessarily told you're saying too much or you're being too much. I think once you sort of like sit down and say, okay, so where I saw myself and where I want to see myself, like I said before, it sort of clicked that it was more like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to share something because I know someone out there also wants to share. And so part of me feeling like I have a voice, and I know that it might help people. And so when it came down to storytelling, I felt like this will be the way that I can help others share their stories. It was during that period where I had to go back and again check on my relationships, checked on LinkedIn, and I noticed a pattern. Many times, specifically in my business and in my content at that time, I knew storytelling was what people enjoyed reading the most, not necessarily the techniques and the tips and this
Mm-hmm. The
very much.
how-tos.
Yeah, it's where there's no personality, right? So I feel like, you know what, if I want to have a business where I use my voice in a way that helps others, then yeah, and I think storytelling was more of something that I enjoyed doing the most. Other than the others, because the other ones seemed to be like, yes, I have the expertise, but they lacked personality. It wasn't really who I was, and in a way, I sort of like it seemed like I was comparing myself to others and doing what others needed to do, and it really sounded very templatey. I don't know if that's a word,
Mm-hmm.
but if I wanted to show authenticity, which is something that I really pushed last year, that word came so often because it's like I need to be able to show who I am in a way that I'm not fearful anymore of sharing. So slowly that became my mission, my aha. Like it's like, okay, I storytelling is something that I noticed more people were doing, and I think
Mm-hmm.
now it's become like the number one, content post that allows you to trust or gain trust in people, or that people gain trust in you too. So once you deal with the people, you find that storytelling helps connect with people and trust you more than yes. And I think that we're moving away from the whole how-tos and tips and tricks to more like how can I relate to this person that eventually I want to work with.
Mm-hmm. You've also mentioned a couple of times burnout, and I know this topic is quite big these days. And the more I speak to entrepreneurs, the more I see them burn out from their journey, entrepreneurial journey. What was your burnout like? And I guess there were several burnouts, and were they only when you became an entrepreneur, or they were also you were also burning out when you were an employee working in a company?
I'd say the burn. Well, I've had my burnouts because again, I was working in jobs that I didn't feel like my voice was being heard. I think if I go back to all of these different jobs that I've had, it never seemed to be a fit for me. Only because I was put in this box. Even if I gave ideas out, they seemed to be like, no, 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 let's do it this way. And so it's like, okay, here we go again. I want to be able to help you, but I can't because it's frowned upon in some way. So I never really fit this mold that they put myself in like a label. Um, so yeah, the burnout felt like I needed to just close my laptop and not open it again, or not even consume content because it felt like more ideas were coming
Mm-hmm.
to my head, more noise, and I just didn't feel like doing anything anymore. I've had several incidents, even on LinkedIn in the past 2.5 years, where I've had at least two of them that I can remember. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, I'm not gonna consume any more content. I don't know exactly where my directions are, so I just need to pause. And it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting because it was always during those pauses that I sort of like pivoted, right? So even when the last pivot that
That's the
happened,
antidote.
Yeah, it seems like at each of these burnouts, it's like, okay, I want to try something new, and and it works. And now I feel like this last one that happened a year ago, has led me to my path, right? Because I feel happy. I wake up every morning, thinking about what is it that I want to, create today. And so I feel at peace. I enjoy what I'm doing. But I'm not overly consumed by it. Like, even sometimes there are days where, like I mentioned the other day in one of my posts, I worked for an hour or I worked for 2 hours. But I know that part of it is because I've done what I need to do in my business, and I feel like it's whatever chances I do get, it's all with intention, and it provides product. Can you hear me? Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so it's more finding, like I said, finding your purpose and finding something that you love doing. That every day you wake up thinking, I want to be able
Mm-hmm.
to do more of this, and that has led to less burnout, right? Because I'm happy where I am and I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And again, if I need time to, step away, I just go and walk for my dog for an hour, and then I come back more refreshed. But giving yourself, again, permission to say, I can't do this anymore. Let me just go out and,
Yeah.
and do something that I enjoy doing, without feeling guilty. And
It is very important because when you go out, you have a pause, but you're still thinking about work and feeling guilty that you're not working. That's not taking a break, and that's still your mind creating these traps for you to get into. And it's very important to just free up that mind. And I feel like walking the dog, having a walk, chat with a friend, or like, I don't know, going for yoga for me really helps, or doing sports when there's no opportunity to even think about that.
even
You're busy doing something else.
even in the middle of the day, sometimes,
Mm,
it's giving that sense, you don't have to be on, on, but you don't have to be in front of your laptop all day, or a 9 to 5, because that's what we're trying to avoid. So having that freedom to say, I did work and I did this, deep work for 2 3 hours. I don't want to burn out, because I know what that feels like. Let me step away and do other things, and then I'll come back refreshed. So yeah, and not feel guilty about it. And again, if you only work 1 hour a day, that day, because you needed that rest, now it's a time to say, I have the freedom to do so because it's my business. And if I, again, I tend to always, even sometimes I work on the weekends, but I enjoy
mhm.
working.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like I'm pushing myself too thin, because again, I'm doing what I like to do. And so
Hmm.
after once you realize what you do like, then the burnout feels less, because it seems like
Yeah.
you're not working, you're not living to work, right? So it's a different mindset. But yeah, I mean, I think giving yourself permission to take a break allows you
Mhm.
to not get into that point where it's like, ugh, and then you burn out. And if you see it
Hmm.
coming, make sure that you do more of what makes you happy.
Hmm. What are a couple of tips for those who are searching on the path of finding their purpose and searching, asking the questions like, what is my purpose? Like, what are the tips from you on finding what
Well,
is the purpose?
yeah, I like that question because I jotted them down. I knew that question was coming, so I do have actually five, and I'm gonna read some if that's okay with you, because it's so important. I think it's the lessons that I've learned throughout my time. So if it's okay for me to share, so, and we can talk about this as we go. So the first thing is, don't rush clarity. And we talked a
Mm-hmm.
little bit about this. Again, it comes from living, experimenting, and paying attention to what feels aligned. So that's tip number one. Tip number two, it's in terms of you finding your purpose, is share your story. I always think that the more you share, the more you sort of like get clear on what you want and what you decide to do. So step number two in finding your purpose is sharing your story, sharing what you're comfortable sharing. And even if it's messy, it's how you'll connect with the right people. So
Mm-hmm.
that's step number 2, or tip number 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So and then again, number 3 in terms of finding your purpose is to protect your energy. Again,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to do it all. You just have to feel. You have to do what feels real to you, right? What feels right for you. Because again, part of that, wanting to know what your purpose is, sometimes it's not as easy as thinking about it, and it'll come, right? Sometimes it will come when you least expect it, but you can't go out
Mm-hmm.
searching for it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, part of it is not having to do all of it and hoping it will come. Trust that
Mm-hmm.
number 4. Trust that your quiet strength is powerful. You don't have to like scream it out loud and say, this is my purpose. It will come naturally. It will, and people will know what your purpose is, and eventually relate to you. And then lastly is just reflect often. Your story is already guiding you. You just need to listen. So I feel like a lot of times, like I said, people all have stories to tell, but you have to figure out what your patterns are, and and listen to those patterns, and see what it is that you that you saw yourself feeling the most joy. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
in all the stages that I've been, in all of the travels and all of my lives, I feel like there's always been that, and that need to be seen, to be heard, to have that voice. And so again, my purpose is to help others find theirs. And I think that when I reflected on my past experiences, it led me exactly to what I'm doing. So always making sure that you listen to not only your intuition but yourself, and everything else in life, and you'll find it. Yeah, but again, you're not looking for it, but it will come
Mm-hmm.
to you when you realize where have I been, and and yeah, and where you find the most joy doing. So that would be those
Mm-hmm.
are my 5 tips. Hopefully that was helpful.
Beautiful. I love them. I love these tips. I can relate to all of them. And one more question for those who want to post their first post. Let's imagine there's an introverted woman who is ready to post, but like there's so much fear to do it, to tell her story, to also to be seen, and those inner doubts. Like, what is your tip for those people? Like how to finally click that, post button without fear, or with fear, but just click it,
Just
do that
click.
action.
Personally, I would say the best way to sort of put yourself out there is to introduce yourself. Even having a
Mm,
small, short, like introduction
that's the
can
best start.
it's a good start, because again, all the people don't know you. And so
Mm-hmm.
the first post could be just that, like, who am I? What I want, what my content is going to be about, where I see myself. And again, it's more of it's a way to introduce yourself. When you're in a networking event, you want to share a little bit more about you, and
Your elevator pitch.
in your but I think it's just a matter of getting comfortable being who you are, and then just writing something that you know about, which of course is yourself. So that would be my first post, and then slowly, and I think a lot of times, and I think I forgot to mention this, but when you talk about your story, it doesn't really have to be all about you, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
necessarily Sometimes you assume that you're going to write this whole story about your life and what you went through, but in all reality, people want to click on, yes, you went through this, but what is the lesson that you got of it? Like, what do I get out of it? Again, it's all about, not something about you, but it's about them. So that sort of like takes away that pressure, because yes, you can mention even one line about what struggles you went through, but then make it, okay, these are the key lessons. So in a way, you sort of like
Mm-hmm.
detach yourself from that, because everyone has a key takeaway, everyone has a lesson, and everyone wants to relate to that story. So finding ways to share little pieces of you, but then also
Mm-hmm.
make it sort of related to your business. So yeah, I say post. I mean, it's just once you do it often and consistently, and again, it doesn't have to be every day, but once you keep on practicing and sharing that story, that piece of you, and what lesson you've learned, it becomes much easier to then share other parts of your life. But never feel the need to hide away, because I think there's always people wanting to know more about you, and it's just a
Mm-hmm.
matter of just hitting that first click and let it see. And again, you may not get any responses, and that's okay, but part of it is the more you, they say, the more you do and the more you get into the writing habit, the better it becomes, and then you start seeing what other people gravitate towards, and then you do more of that, and then
Mm-hmm. And learn along the way.
yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, never fear experimenting with different content, but yeah, definitely doing what you feel happy with. Like, again, if video is not something that you want to do because you don't feel comfortable, that's okay. But sharing stories and sharing posts about other people's ideas is also another way that you can put yourself out there and sort of develop that writing skill. But I do recommend not to repost. I mean, if you're going to repost with some your own ideas, because that's how you
Mm-hmm.
get people to know your thoughts and help you
That's
also.
your voice.
Yeah, exactly. That would be that's the voice that we're trying to get you to, because again, there's always something that your perspective that people will need to hear about. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, if people are interested in wanting to learn more, they can always contact me, and I will give you more tips. But it's that sort of like getting out of that comfort zone and being like, the more you do it, the better you'll get, type of thing.
Yeah. And I heard some tips like you just press post and close your laptop, throw your phone, and you do something else, to remove that pressure of like checking, oh, is there a like or a comment or whatever? Like just post and run away.
I think I mean, I don't recommend the ghost and post, so post and ghost situation, but yeah, I mean, having to come back and connect with people and engage with other people that are in similar, audience than you, then yes, you will get that engagement. But and again, if you
Hmm.
don't feel comfortable posting, making just small comments here and there also helps
Yeah.
too. The thing is that you want to be at least present, that people know that you are active on LinkedIn, and then slowly
But
you
running
will.
away, posting and running away is not the best strategy, right?
No, no, no. So yeah, but again, if you don't feel like posting is your thing yet, commenting is another sort of small step that you can do to get your message across. And then you can even, sometimes I've seen posts, not posts, comments from people who are, and I even tell them like, this could be a post. And then all you
Mm,
have to do is expand on,
repurpose it.
yeah, and it'll expand on that idea that you already have, because again, it's such insightful. Then why not make it into a post? And then you're like, oh, that's interesting, because they may not even think about it, but that's enough to say, I have a voice, I have something to tell. I just want to be able to, expand on it and then share it, and then yeah, and see where it goes. Again, it's all about experimenting. There's no pressure. There's no one's like telling you you did it wrong, and then just
Yeah.
what's comfortable to you, and you'll find your way. I think I mean, everyone started somewhere, right? They all started with that first post they're not sure, but look at where they are now. And so
Mm,
it's
exactly. All starts with that one post, with that one step, and
mhm.
again, learning and experimenting along the way. So we'll be moving to the second part of
Yes.
our live. We're gonna use the cards. There are three levels. We'll start with level one. The higher the level, the deeper the question. Um, what is your go-to karaoke song?
Gosh, I'm a very I feel like it's interesting. I don't know why. As soon as you mentioned karaoke, the first thing that came to my mind was "I Will Survive."
Hey, hey.
It's a fun, catchy, and I think everyone knows that song. And so yes, I think it sort of sets the mood. So I think that would probably be the first one. And I feel like anytime I go into karaoke, I haven't done it much, but I will feel like that would be a good one to get people in the mood and then, just go and then just do whatever. I'll survive this, embarrassment or whatever.
Nice. Okay, level 2. What are we having here? Wow, this question comes a lot on these lives. What is your first love's name and the reason you fell in love with him or her?
I started dating very late. I feel like everything that I've done has like been like my way of doing it. I didn't have my first boyfriend until I was 28. Maybe I've dated. I mean,
Hmm.
I had like crushes in here, but that was my first.
Like
I
no
would say
serious relationship.
yes, my serious relationship. I would say so. Yeah. So his first name was Hani. He was from Iran,
Hmm.
and I just loved his sweetness about him. When you felt already comfortable when I first saw him, I felt like, this like you have a sweet face. I felt like I could be myself. So that was sort of like the first, and I was living in London at the time, and yeah, I felt like I could be a person that I was trying to be, because again, I was trying to be someone that I was not, being extrovert and all that. And I feel like for the first time, I can just be myself and not feel judged or feel like um, I'm trying to pretend someone that I'm not. So yeah. So for me, that was him just feeling like comfortable being around him and showing who I was without without
Yeah, and I can draw a parallel with business, right? You want to be in your business, you want to be yourself too, and you want to be accepted for for what you are and who you are. And same in a relationship, like you just want to be free, express yourself, and feel yourself in business and in a relationship.
Yep. So for me, I mean, yeah, definitely feel comfortable with him and expressing myself. And yeah, I never felt that. Maybe in other relationships after that, I felt a little bit more like my voice wasn't heard. But in that one, I feel like that was genuine.
Beautiful. Okay, level number 3. Oh, that's cute. What can we create together?
I feel like we're aligned in many, many ways. I feel like in terms of us too, I love our conversations. I love, of course, I love mindsets. I feel like I'm very in tuned now with who I am and what I want to become. And part of it is also learning about my human design. I'm an emotional
Hmm.
generator. We don't know. And so
Huh?
I take my time. I'm more of a creator, but at the same time, I'm not pressured into doing things. And so part of sharing your story is also dealing with your mindset. So even working with your clients on figuring out where they are and what space they are, even before being able to tell a story. I think, because again, a lot of it has to do with where you are and how you see yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when you have this mindset of not being good enough and not feeling like you're worth sharing anything about your story, that once you have that clarity, then the rest should be very easy, and then you can tell
Mm-hmm.
your story. And I think I would go back to say you're the first step, right, in terms of mindset, in terms of feeling like you're aligned to where you want to be, and then the next part would be like, okay, so now how can we share your story on LinkedIn and elsewhere?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have to only be on LinkedIn; it could be on networking events, podcasts, even emails. But yeah, the first step is always mindset. Without it, it's hard
Yeah.
to even want to or how to,
It's like a
because
beautiful collab, mindset and then strategy, right?
exactly, yeah, exactly. I mean, again, it goes back to wanting to do the best for your business. But if you have that clear enough foundation, exactly with your mind and then strategy, it could be a match made in heaven. I guess.
But this was a really, really beautiful conversation. Before we actually wrap up, How can people find you, and what is the best way to contact you? Is it LinkedIn, DMs? Do you have any other platforms, maybe websites, maybe some freebies you have, or like some interesting stuff that's happening or will be happening soon? Just let us know, yeah, how to connect with you and
I feel like
yeah,
I'm very
what's the
accessible.
best way?
The best is the DMs. I can't guarantee that I'm gonna respond right away because right now I have like 50 in my in my DMs messages to respond to. But yeah, DMs is the best. I do have a website, so it's www.monica-miranda.com. I also started Substack, so I'm starting brand new on Substack, so you can find me there. I just posted one a few days ago, and so that's where my newsletter. So I don't have a newsletter per se. I moved from newsletter to Substack, and that's where you can get my newsletter. And as far as what's coming next, I am doing a sort of a little promotion for Black Friday. So I'm gonna do sort of like a content to clarity is what I'm calling it. So if you want to do a one-off, one session with call with me, it's a 90 minutes. We will go over your origin story, give you like a one-page story summary, and also talk about frameworks and not necessarily templates, but more how you would shape your story into a message that you can then use in your different platforms. So that's going to be a quick 90-minute call, but very, very intense. And so that's what I'm promoting
Mhm.
at the moment. I
How to
haven't,
book it? Through the featured section or through DMs?
that's something that I thought about it last night. So this is my introduction to it, but it's something that I feel that I want to provide. So yeah, so you can contact me in DMs. I will post about it most likely today or tomorrow. So yeah, so if you're interested in that, you can schedule a call. I do have a story clarity lab that I am currently launching, and that's more a 4-week a program where we focus, yes, on your origins, so your clarity, your messaging, but also your presence on LinkedIn. So a lot of
That's one-on-one, right? Not group.
no, yeah, exactly. That's a one-on-one program. Eventually, it will turn into a coaching program, but for right now, I mean, it's you get access to me, and we can go through your content and your messaging, and then being able to showcase to the world who you are through LinkedIn, but also through all the different other platforms. Because once you have your story clear, then it can be used throughout your other platforms. So that's the two things that I have right now. Everything is on my website, and but again, if you want to contact me and learn more, you can definitely DM me. That's the best way to reach me.
Fantastic. Well, once again, thank you so much, Monica. Thank you everyone for tuning in, for watching. Send Monica a DM, get that 90-minute amazing offer. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.
Thank
Cheers.
you.